Hey, everybody, this is Danielle. Welcome to my live stream. This is actually a copy of the Simpler Trading Mastering the Trade room. You can find us in the trading room all throughout the week, but on Friday, I do a special live stream where you can have access to the trading room on social media versus being a member at Simpler Trading. So, I'm going to go ahead and get that live stream started. Make sure you ask me questions in the chat. I'll get to them whenever I can. I also have additional questions that are coming through in our Simpler Trading chat room. So if there are other questions and you're wondering, where are those? They're in the trading room. So let me go ahead and get that stream started. How's everyone doing this Friday? Excellent. Excellent. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? This is Danielle. Welcome to the close. Hello, hello. Death to pins. Man, I wish I would have gotten that one on yesterday. I was sitting there, I had my call credit spreads. I was getting ready to put them on, but there was only like 3 minutes left before the market closed, and I thought, "Oh, it's not really very nice to send out alerts right before the market closes." I went to New York last week and I had a great time. I filmed with Charles Payne. I filmed with Schwab Network at the NYSE. And I also was invited to this event by the app Public, which they're very cool, by the way. And I came back, and both of my little kids are sick. And so I've barely been able to do anything all week, though I actually do have quite a few trades on that I was able to manage from my phone. So that's been great since we have API alerts at Simpler Trading now, which is amazing. But anyways, I'm a little regretful that I didn't get on earnings trades yesterday, but I'm glad that I at least posted my analysis on some of these. So Daryl's in the doghouse for letting the kids get sick. Poor guy, he had to take care of the sick kids by himself while I was out of town. And sick kids wake up all night long, so it's been fun. Your SEI options should be doing well. How about Etsy for next week? Michelle, I tried to get an SEI and I didn't get filled, and then I forgot about it, and so I actually don't have the trade on, but I'll definitely look at it. The trades that I have on right now are AVGO, Dell, Google, NBIS, QQQ, and SMH. So we'll definitely talk about those, and I'll take the requests as well. Pinterest was one that I had posted yesterday that I thought was going to get destroyed over earnings. So if you look at Pinterest here, you can see that it had the 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor setup. So what that is when you have an earnings report that shifts the overall trend and it's a pretty substantial move to the downside. And then after that, you have another earnings report that isn't the original trend shift, but is a major gap down and a big move. So that's what happened this quarter right here. But then the third quarter, at that point, it's down on the lows. It just looks like, is there anything that's going to save it? And the problem is when you get to the third quarter like that, it just makes it really, really difficult for the company to have any kind of good news that can send the stock higher. It has to have like absolutely phenomenal news. And so if it doesn't, that's when it just gets destroyed. So that was one that I was looking at yesterday for potential destruction. Some of the ones that I looked at last week, like Roblox. So that one didn't actually get destroyed upon the initial earnings report, though it had the same type of setup where you have an overall bullish trend and then a gap down and then it reverses. But sometimes these stocks will trade higher after earnings, but then you can short them when they trade higher. So in this case, you can see that this one did actually trade higher after earnings, but then it traded directly into a zone that you could have a better opportunity to short it. And then you're not actually trading the earnings report itself, but you're trading a post earnings momentum move. So that one definitely traded lower. I want to go over. I want to go over a couple of the setups that I have on currently. What's your favorite post earnings trade setup? Can you review with a recent example like Amazon, Google, Apple? Thanks. I also love your handle, Twins Mom. That's amazing. I always wanted twins my whole life. It was like my dream come true. And every time I tell people that, they're like, "You're crazy." Well, maybe. Anyways, um so the thing with the post earnings trade setup is you really have to have a big momentum move. So I mean, you can do, for example, if a ticker has a greater than expected move to the downside, generally it will keep falling. Let me see if I can find a good example of that. Um, but what you're looking for is just a reason to continue with the downtrend. So if something's already in a downtrend and then it has a bad earnings report, people usually continue bailing. Sometimes there will be a situation like this where it was in a downtrend, buyers came in for a few days, but ultimately it just wasn't enough and then it resumes the downtrend. So it can vary a little bit. In this example, that one was a case where it resumed the downtrend. I'll go ahead and look at a couple charts and see if I can find a good one. With Amazon, whoops, there we go. Let's see. Be careful what you wish for. Yeah, I know it would be chaos. I have 2 cousins that have twins. One of my cousins is going to give birth to her twins, like, at any point this week, actually. Like, doesn't this run in the family? I guess not. Uh, let's see, activate. Alright, so looking at Amazon, for example, this is one that had come up on my radar with earnings last week. So, another thing that I will do after earnings for an earnings trade is I'll look for a key area of support to buy a stock. So when you're going into an earnings report, and I can probably give you an example of one that's coming up soon. Okay. So do you see how Nvidia has earnings coming up? These are the expected market maker moves for earnings. Down here, up here, up here, and up here. This is the 1x move, the 1.5x move, and the 2x move. So, for example, if I'm looking at Nvidia right now, Nvidia is trading at 183. I could say, you know what? If it falls the expected move, which would overlap pretty closely with the 200 simple, that would be a great spot to buy post earnings. So that would be a time where I could set up a post earnings trade. However, if it fell 1.5x or 2x, that's usually when it would keep going to the downside. So that would tell me, instead of buying it after earnings, then it becomes a sell. Does that make sense? Let's look at Apple. So for this one really doesn't have a post earnings trade. There has to be some sort of setup, either a squeeze that's going to break out, a move that you can buy into support, or an extreme move to the upside or the downside. So with Apple, this just had a very basic 1.2% gap, which is pretty much nothing. So, unless there was another setup like a squeeze that you could buy after earnings, that wouldn't be a candidate for a post earnings trade. Google, with this one, I actually shorted this one after earnings. So, I am in the Google short right now. I was looking at it just before I came live, and I'll go ahead and show you how that trade is working out. But in this example, this has been one of the strongest stocks in the market, right? It's been absolutely incredible. Gapped up 3.6%, 3.6%, 6.2%. Now, what happened last quarter was it gapped down and gapped down negative 6.3%. So it gapped down and it tried to recover, but then it broke through the 50 simple, which you can't see on this chart because the bubbles are in the way. So let me go ahead and move that. So it gapped down and fell below the 50 simple and it started selling off. So I did get into a bearish trade on Google, a post earnings momentum trade, because that earnings report shifted the trend. So this is the trade I currently have on with Google. This is supposed to expire next week, so we're within 7 days. With the butterflies, it's always really difficult to say when is the exact perfect time to take them off, and that's the number one question that I get. I'm really disappointed in my AVGO exit, which I'll go over here in a minute. But essentially, with the butterflies, I'm usually trying to target 50 to 75% on the first exit. Um, with Google, this is currently at 40%, so pretty good. I just got into this yesterday, maybe, or maybe the day before. Let's see, what today is Friday. I think I got in on Wednesday when I was doing the trading room. So it's up 43%. It's good. $229. But the thing with butterflies is that they do the best the closer they get to expiration, right? And there's still 7 days remaining. And in the puts that I have sold at the $300 strike price, those puts have not decayed because you're not close enough to expiration. So, one of the main ways that you make money with a butterfly is you're going to make money on the long puts. So, those are 310 puts and currently are at 306. So, those puts are in the money, which means they're making money. Now, these right here, I have sold 6 of them because it's a 1-to-1 ratio butterfly. And instead of decaying, they were sold for 217. They're going for 259. That's because the price of the stock has gone down. You're getting closer to that strike. So it leaves you in a situation where it's like, okay, the trade's working, you're within range of the butterfly. The whole point of the butterfly is for the stock to be between 310 and 300. We can agree that's working, right? But then it becomes, okay, well, where do you take profits? Do you just take the 45% right now, or do you try to squeeze out a little bit more? I still have my AVGO trade on, and it was at like 65%, and I had my orders set at 75%. They didn't hit, and now AVGO reversed. So obviously that can happen sometimes, which is a bummer. But so goes with trading. Anyways, with Google, I think there's still more downside potential because you traded down almost into the $300 strike price. Yes, you had some buyers come in. There's a little bit of a wick there, but you're still in a squeeze. This squeeze has fired to the downside. So we have these red dots and white dots that signify that you're in the squeeze. And then once they turn green, the squeeze has then fired. So it definitely has fired to the downside. We have high volume selling on the stock today. If you look at the way that the other tickers in the market have been getting absolutely destroyed, um, it's just one of those things where it's like, can it go lower? Yeah, it can go lower. So I think I'm going to hold my Google short because next week, as someone has just pointed out, Monday is a holiday, markets are closed. The Europeans can keep shorting our stocks. Oh, that's a very interesting point right here. Let me look at the NASDAQ too. So I think I'll hold it one more day. I mean, the NASDAQ, it tried to recover today, but it is definitely giving back some of that move. Um, yeah, this is looking pretty. This is looking nasty. So I think I will just hold the Google short, and I think I need to get out of my AVGO long. I'm really bummed about that one because that trade was so perfect. Just mismanaged on my end. Danielle, thoughts of an SPX trade for the next week with the idea that we're in a pit bull low? So I have seen a lot of commentary surrounding, oh, this is just a pit bull low. I do not think it is a pit bull low. The whole thing about the pit bull low is that it's just a dip in a bullish trend before options expiration that recovers. I do not think this is a pit bull low because I think that this is a trend shift. Um, and I think that there's going to be more downside in February. So you see how the 50 simple broke right here. We traded all the way down to the 200. That did hold. But on the recovery move, you were not able to get up above any of this resistance. And we've just reversed and we're going lower. So that's why I am short multiple names here. I'm short the NASDAQ. I'm short Dell. I guess I need to add some more shorts on. I'm short Google. I'm long ABGO, which isn't working out for me anymore. So I don't really think it's a pit bull low. I think we're going to keep going lower. The whole pit bull low idea is that you go lower Thursday and Friday before options expiration, and then you rally back the next week. Danielle, I had twins as a single mom. Let me tell you, LOL. Oh my gosh, you are amazing. Amazing. I was a single mom with my first, and it was so hard. I cannot imagine having two at the same time. It's hard for me having two toddlers and a husband. So it's just like one kid was manageable. Two kids, that was really not that bad for me because one of them was 9 and the other one was a baby. So it just wasn't difficult. But then I had 2 under 2, and after that, it just went crazy. Crazy for me, so and they're so cute together, so, can't complain about it, but the 2 under 2 is not an easy it's not an easy situation to manage. Okay, let's see. Amazon. The Mag 7 are in a bearish trend, so we may have had a pit bull high this week. Next week is OPEX, Shenanigan City, QQQ Butterfly, like having 3 toddlers. The move is usually the opposite to what the media is saying. Well, I went in the media last week and I said, more downside ahead, guys. So for Amazon, I don't know what to do with it here from an options trading perspective. I mean, I just don't have anything on it for an options trade. I do like the idea of continuing to dollar cost average into the stock, though I think that it can fall farther. It has broken through that $200 area of support. Um, I think it could fall down into 175, maybe down even into 165 even with the weakness that we're seeing. You can see how this level's it's trying to hold, but I feel like it's probably going to break. Um, would I want to short Amazon in the options market? I mean, I can see shorting the idea from I can see shorting just based off of, it broke 200, let's trade it down into 175. I just prefer to short when I have a technical setup and a squeeze. The squeeze in this instance fired on that earnings report. So I feel like it's a little late almost. You can see that the squeeze went from white to green right here. So that was when it gapped down after earnings. Could you trade the post earnings momentum move idea where Amazon fell a lot after earnings? I mean, it did, but at the same time, it was within the expected move. It fell 10% and the expected move was 10%. So it's not like it fell 1.5 or 2 times the expected move. Does that make sense? So I feel like you probably could short it. I just wish that I like to have a 5-star setup. I like to have 5 ideas why I'm getting into a trade. And one reason, yes, it fell after earnings, but it was within the expected move, so it's not very strong. The squeeze is already fired, so you can't get in with the squeeze. I I don't know. I don't think I can do anything with it. Microsoft is kind of the same, where could we short it just because of the Mag 7 weakness and because it's breaking through 400? Um, yes, we could. Again, I would just prefer to time it with a squeeze. That being said, Microsoft is in a weekly squeeze, and the weekly squeeze typically provides pressure for 6 to 8 weeks, and you're only 3 weeks in. So I can see Microsoft falling down into 375. Could we short it into that level? Yeah, I think we could. Yeah, let's look at Bitcoin. I had to take off for a loss a couple weeks ago. That did not work out. We had a pretty swift reversal this January. Um, Pretty swift reversal in a lot of these crazy momentum names. You can see the VIX climbing. I don't see how this could not be a short today. The question is, what's the target? Think we could fall all the way into 6,800 today, guys? So let's see. We have a $16 expected move. Usually I wait until around 2:30 Central to make the end of day trade. Um, well, I wanted one baby, and you know what they say, God laughs when you make plans, LOL. Yeah, that's what happened to my cousin. She was trying for like 5 years and then twins. Eh. When do you sell your long-term stocks? I can show you a chart, but usually when they break the 50 simple on the weekly chart, or the caveat that something substantial has changed with a fundamental underlying story. Like something like Peloton, for example, we were buying that during the pandemic because it was a big pandemic name, and then the company just never was able to continue growing EPS estimates. Um, Sometimes I buy long-term stocks. Um, I buy long-term stocks in companies that aren't actually profitable, um, with the idea that they're going to grow into profitability. And then when that doesn't happen, then I will get out. Like a lot of these really volatile names right now, like CIFR, Iron, it's like fundamentally they're not very sound, right? And so I may buy them now at this point in time with the idea that they will become something someday. And if they don't, then I bail on them. So as far as an end of day SPX trade, I don't know that we could get all the way down into 6,800. Um, Let's see. Looks like John has just posted a trade buying 0 DTE SPX 68.25, 68.10, put debit spread. All right, well, let's just do that. Let's not complicate this situation further by doing something different. I definitely think it's a short. I don't think that there's a reasonable reason to make a long trade here. Okay, so John just posted that trade 2 minutes ago, and the debit's already up another dollar, um, another $1.75 or so. Okay, let's see if I can get this. Try to get one at least. See if I can get a fill. February 20th is the Supreme Court tariff decision. Okay, so let me tell you, those days in the market are literally always so volatile. My dad's birthday is on February 21st, and every single year, the market just gets completely creamed. Every year. Ugh. It's like, happy birthday, boom. Your kids are 15 now. Awesome. So what's it like having 15-year-old twins? I have one 12-year-old who's now a basic teenager. I feel like we might be able to get 6,800 today. I don't know. It just has whenever you're going into a 3-day weekend, um a 3-day weekend, the market's on edge. Generally, people sell stocks. That's just a typical behavior because it's like, ooh, do we really want to hold this over the weekend kind of thing? Look at that. Boom. Thanks. What about profit taking on long-term equity positions? So I have taken profits on long-term equity positions to invest in my real estate. My husband and I, well, we bought a lake house in Texas in 2020, and I cashed out my futures account, in addition to one of my options accounts, and I took another 50,000 out of my long-term investment account for the down payment on that property. Um, and I think about it all the time. And I'm like, you know, would I have made more money if I just would have kept that money in the market? It's like taking that money out midway through 2020, which was, of course, during a massive market rally, right? 2020, 2021. Um, would it have been better to just leave it in the market? I mean, I guess you could argue that, but then at the same time, it's like, well, I bought a lake house and then I got to live in a lake house for 3 years. And then the lake house exploded in value because of um, the real estate market. And then I ended up selling the lake house. We made like $300,000 of profit on the lake house. And then I bought a 3-acre place in the San Juan Islands that I currently live in. So to answer your question of do you ever take profits? Yes, I did, and I have used that money to put that into real estate. And my question to myself is always, well, would it have been more effective in the stock market? I mean, maybe, but I don't just take profits and then like spend them. I take the profits and then I invest them into something else. So right now I'm working on expanding the property here, and I'm going to convert the barn into a studio, like a TV studio basically. Um but at the same time, I look at the profits that I took and it's like, oh, I should have just left it in there. So I don't have a great answer to your question. This looks like it was careening lower and it stopped falling, but let's see. We're right at the 2:30 time frame. If I'm not taking the money and investing it into something else, I don't just take profits on long-term stocks. I just leave it there because there's just no reason to take it out unless you're going to distribute it somewhere else. Does that make sense? Apple getting killed. You have twin 15-year-old girls too. Everybody gets to have twins except for me. Danielle, didn't JC predict the real estate markets would crash in mid 2026? We had a litter of two also. Thanks for the stream. Yeah. So I'm doing a live stream right now. This is actually a copy of our Simpler Trading Mastering the Trade room. So, yes, we are streaming all week long at Simpler Trading in the Mastering the Trade room. I haven't had as many sessions lately because I went to New York last week and my kids have been super sick all week, but normally I'm in here 2-3 times a week. Didn't John say the real estate market was going to crash? Um, well, if it does, I'm going to be stuck here, which is fine. I don't want to go anywhere, so all right. I am looking at the ticks right here because this is the most important part of the last half an hour. Um, what we want to look for is we want to look at the market internals to see if we're getting extreme buying or extreme selling into the last half hour of the day. Currently, right now, the market internals are pretty neutral because we have the ticks right at this line right here. And when you're looking at the vol spread's definitely negative. It's been trading lower, trading lower, trading lower. The put call ratio, let me see here. Basically, we just need like a big sell program. Looking back, you did fine, Danielle. Well, and I'm also just so happy to be out of Texas. I do feel like I was not very savvy buying a house in 2023 with the interest rates the way that they are, and it kills me to look at my mortgage statement. Um, but I'm near my family, and that's all that matters. I will refinance one day. So, uh, so let's see. John posted an alert saying for the put debit spread, he's going to work an order to sell half at $5 for a double, then maybe let the second half cash settle. Looks like we'll end up at 68.25 or 68.10. So my entry was worse. My entry was at 355. So definitely had a higher entry than what John was able to get. That was a win. You didn't have to pay capital gains. So we like barely made the capital gains threshold for when we sold it, which was amazing. So you have a very good point there. Okay, let's look at coin and Bitcoin. And I also want to look at my short positions. Looks like this is working. So John said he was going to put an order in at $5. We're already past that. I only put one contract on here, so I think I'm just going to let this work right now, but this is already it's almost at a double. $68.21. We just need one little more sell program. The VIX is still climbing up at 21.32. All right, I think we're starting to go now. Come on. All right, I'm just going to leave that for a minute. Let me go look at my AVGO trade, which I just missed my exit on, to be honest. This is a really good trade. I should have taken profits. I was up like 65% and I was trying to get 75% out of it. I traded it from here to here up into 350. What happened was I put a butterfly on and it met my target overnight. So with a butterfly, you really need to have more time for the ticker to work. I got into the trade with a $350 price target, and literally overnight the stock gapped up. It was up like 3.5%. It traded right into 350. So I was trying to give the butterfly a little bit more time to work. And then what ended up happening was it got rejected at 350 and now it's selling off. And at this point, it's probably going to trade back down into 315. And the issue is that I don't have enough time left on the trade. So I'm just going to close this. It's going to be just about break even. It's going to be $33 loss, which is very unfortunate because it was making money this whole time I had it on. But I don't want to lose my $4 because I'm hoping that it will come back because we only have at this point 4 more days. So I don't want to lose the entire $4 because I'm hoping that it's going to come back. Does that make sense? LED video wall for the studio. Maybe. This is moving around quite a bit at this point. You did your AVGO for 3.6. If I had more time, I would probably leave it on, but you have to keep in mind that it has earnings coming up. So the earnings report is on the 4th. So there may not be enough time. Especially because when you're looking at the earnings report, if you did a butterfly in the same week as earnings, it's probably not going to, the center strike is probably not going to decay. So I feel like that one might be a little bit difficult. It depends on what trade you have on. If you have long calls on during the earnings series, it's totally fine because the long calls continue to rise in implied volatility. But the problem is having a butterfly in the earnings series. In that situation, what happens is that the implied volatility continues rising in the short strike, and at that point, it works against the butterfly. No, same as you, same strike, just different date. I think it's largely gonna depend on how, um I think it's largely gonna depend on how we gap on Tuesday. I'm pretty I don't know, I'm pretty hesitant to say that the market is gonna gap up well on Tuesday. Alright, I'm just watching the ticks here. Am I still in SMH? Yes, I am still in SMH. My SMH trade is looking good. So there was this one moment in time where we shifted up into here with the high ticks. It looked like maybe buyers were gonna come in, but now we're just reversing again. The vol spread is generally a pretty good indication of the volume up versus the volume down, and it had kind of flattened out a little bit, but if it starts going lower again, I think, we're probably gonna come down. Ideally, you break down into here, which is the lows on the day. All right, so I'm gonna place down into 500 on the ticks. And then are you still in the lemonade trade? I closed the lemonade trade. I think I made a YouTube video about that. Um, and I took profits on it. I think if you look at my channel, I made a video about that one. I can't make videos about all the trades just because, busy and whatnot. But I think I made a video about that one. All right, here we go. So at this point, mine is at about a double. Negative 400 on the ticks, 12:43 Pacific time, $7. The ticks are trying to go lower, but then they're just not quite there. All right, I'm gonna put in an order to see if I can get this filled at like 650. And ideally it'll just tick up into 650 and get filled. Sometimes with these SPX trades, it's kind of the easiest way to do that. And then if it doesn't get filled, I'll just have to go back and adjust the order. Oh, well, there we go. It got filled. Oh man, I forgot to lock it. 580. That's okay. Plenty of time, 16 minutes. Okay, so I'm filled at 580 with the entry at 355. Not perfect, but all right. I want to go back and look at my Google short. So with Google, this one is up about 50%. So not bad. We're between 310, 300, and 290. Could I take this one off? Yes, I could definitely take this one off. Or I could hold it and see if I could get it to trade just a little bit lower on Tuesday and Wednesday. I really think either option is fine. Um, to me, it looks pretty weak, but you have to keep in mind that with some of these relative strength stocks, they are they are likely to bounce if the market starts bouncing. It's a little bit different than some of these relative weakness names. If I had a long put, would I just hold? Yes, because if it breaks 300, it's going to just get destroyed. I also have a short on Dell. So this ticker was down yesterday about 10%. And same thing, I had sold a call credit spread on it when it rallied up into this $200 strike price. And yesterday when it got moving, it was down 10%. Could I have taken profits on it then? Yes. But whenever you're selling options, generally you're going to need some more theta decay, right? Today, because it is holding inside of this range, I think I'm just going to take profits on it because the idea when something is down 10% is that it's then going to fall even farther, right? But instead, what has happened when it was down 10%, it's now an inside range candle and it looks like it's actually going to trade higher, especially because it's up 3.4% today when the indexes are doing what they're doing. So, yesterday I think it was up maybe 60% or so. So, it's not up as much as it was yesterday. But we're still making money on it. So, I'm going to go ahead and close this one and take profits. So let me get that one. And then thankfully with the new API alerts, I don't have to even send out any alerts. This is just amazing. They just go directly to the trading room. Boom. Love it. All right, now let's look at Bitcoin and Coinbase. We have 12 minutes left. So if the market's going to rally here, this is going to be the time. It doesn't look like it. John is adding an SPX 0 DTE 6815 6810 put debit spread for 85 cents. Interesting. So Bitcoin has just really been a disappointment here. I did lose money on my IBIT trade in January. Um Someone was asking me, when would I sell a long-term position? So on the weekly chart, usually when something breaks the 50 simple, which on my chart is right here, this yellow line, usually when that happens, it's really difficult for the trend to continue higher. And it usually leads to more downside. So you can see right here when it broke the yellow line back in 2021, it ended up having, let's see, that was December. It took months. Well, actually, it took over a year until January of 23. That's how long it took before it really bottomed and started trading higher. So at this point, it has broken through the 50 simple again. It's broken through the 100 simple. It is holding the 200. So that's better than what occurred back in here, arguably. But I would say that if it breaks below 59,000, which still another 10,000 points lower, quite a bit, right? Then yeah, it's going to fall even farther, but right now it's holding up on that last area of support. It's trying. It's really trying. But this is a downtrend. Let's see. I might be able to short it. Let me look at Coinbase. Right now, I'm just looking for stuff to short mainly. I just feel like the market is just not in a very good position right here. Coinbase is up after earnings, but you have to look at this overall downtrend. The downtrend is nasty. So this is a really similar situation to what happened with Roku, or sorry, not Roku, Roblox. Roblox was up 10% after the earnings report, and then now it's getting hammered. So I don't think that this kind of move, I personally don't think that this kind of move should be bought. It's also just not my style. I really don't do this kind of like counter trend type of things. Um, I do not like buying something that looks like it's just getting absolutely destroyed. It's just not really my style. So I would prefer to short it down into like 150 than 140 after that. Let's look at IBIT. Oh, just complete and utter destruction here. All right. Now it looks like the indexes are getting hammered again. Down she goes. 252 trade. All of my levels just completely broken. I mean, could you short using IBIT? In theory, I suppose you could. It's even though it's up 5%, I mean, it's barely at the 8 EMA. There's got to be something that has a better entry to short than that. Usually you want to at least short on some kind of rally. Could you short Pinterest after it's getting destroyed? So the exception to, hey, let's short the rally is something like this, where the earnings move was extreme. So when you have an extreme earnings move like this, down, 17% after earnings, that is something that typically will continue going, especially when the move is occurring on high volume. If you can see the volume candle back here, the volume candle is absolutely massive. So when you have a big move lower on extremely high volume, it does typically continue lower. That makes sense. So could you short it further? I mean, yeah, I think it will keep going lower. I mean, look at what happened last quarter. So it gapped down, kind of tried to rally for a few days and just rolled over and died. Oracle looks ripe. Yeah, let me know if you see any others right before the close. Yeah, this one, let me get my What are your thoughts on Reddit? Reddit, I'm very sad that it's gotten destroyed. Let's see. Okay, so I think we could short Oracle again. Do you see how it has last quarter, it had a negative 14% move after earnings? The implied volatility is continuing to spike. We're in the earnings hot zone time frame. We have earnings coming up on March 9th. It's up 2% today, so it rallied up into the 21 EMA. Is there a squeeze on here? Oh man, the market's about to close. I just wish that I wish that I had a squeeze, but as far as pre-earnings momentum goes, I think it looks like a great one to short before earnings. If only I had a squeeze that would give me a little bit of a better entry. But let's look. $26 expected move. So the Delta 70s are going to run you about 2,500 a piece. You could also do the 170 strike for about 1,800 a piece for the puts in the earnings series. Is it a good time to enter Nvidia before earnings? I think it's a little close to earnings. Let me see. So it's down 2.3%. Usually I like to enter about 21 days before, which would be right around here. That would have been January 26th. Or, as you can see, pull back to the 200 simple, even though that wasn't near that 21-day time frame. So at this point, I don't really like once you get into that 8-day time frame before earnings. I think it's just too short of a time frame. So I'm going to hold off on that. I am still long SMH. I have an SMH butterfly on. And the thing about SMH is that it has been the relative strength sector. It has a daily squeeze. It almost made new all-time highs yesterday. So I am still long SMH, even though my trade has come down a little bit in profitability. It is at least still in the money. And I'm going to hold it. We are running out of time on it. So with Lemonade, so this was the move that I traded in Lemonade. We were in an overall bullish trend. We had a daily squeeze. The ticker pulled back. It bounced into these price targets. I took profits on it at some point. I don't remember exactly where, but this is another one of those tickers that has just completely shifted trends. So once something breaks down below the 50s, well, first of all, I'm always taking profits at Fibonacci extension targets, and I also overlap that with like what percentage I'm up in the trade. Sometimes like with the AVGO trade, I kind of got greedy. I was trying to get 75%. It was at 65%. I didn't take it, and now I've got a break even trade. That happens sometimes, but I'm also trying to overlap that with the Fibonacci price targets to know kind of like where to get out. And then in this case, this one had a key psychological value at the $100 strike. So whenever you run into a key psychological value like that and then you roll over, that's a spot to get out as well. And then in this case, you can see that there was a squeeze, which you can notice based off of the white dots. And then after it breaks down below the 50 simple, that's like, it's dead to me. So for all of those reasons, I was already in and out of that one. You want me to look at app? But in the trading room, I know it's difficult online because like I talk about different ideas on the shows that I'm on, and I talk about, different ideas in the just in social media posts, but that's why in the trading room, like there's always an entry like and an exit. Whereas it's really difficult for me to follow up on all of the ideas that are online because I have so many so many ideas, and there's only so many of them I can trade. I mean, I usually trade like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of the ideas a week on a swing basis, and then I do more overnight earnings trades. But when I'm going on the media and stuff, I mean, I do so much research and I come up with like 3 times the amount of ideas. So let's see. Um, app. I just don't know if there's anything I can do with this. I mean, it got destroyed after earnings. It's trying to rally. I would not want to buy it personally. I do not like buying stocks that have gotten destroyed. This looks like a double top to me. It broke through the 50 simple on the weekly chart. It's selling off on continually high volume and it has a weekly squeeze that's firing short. So I would not want to buy any of those things. Been holding the Mag 7 profitability in my retirement account. I hold some others. Best to hold through the mess, sell half and wait to average down or get out completely. Personally, I do not sell when the market pulls back like this. It's obviously going to depend on your positions, your risk tolerance, and everything else. But, historically, if you sold every time the market pulled back, I mean, it's generally like the worst time to sell. I That being said, I do think that the sell-off is gonna get worse, especially throughout February, just because during February, you typically have bearish seasonality anyways, and all of the Mag 7s are really weak right now. Um, but those are generally the times that are better to buy. Danielle, are you still doing the Las Vegas Money Show with Brent? Yes, I am. I will be at the Las Vegas Money Show on the 25th of February. Let's see. I don't think the, let's see here. So I have 3 talks all in one day, and then I'm doing a book signing with my stock market book for kids. And they're just going to be back to back to back starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's see. Uh, yeah, it's this one. So this is the one that I'm on the panel um, with Brent for. I was going to post a newsletter about that. But yeah, if you're in Las Vegas, come see me. Nice 6X on the 6825 butterfly. Have a great weekend. Nice. Nice, nice. And then as far as Reddit is concerned, I mean, I like the company, I like the stock. I think a lot of these tickers have really struggled recently. I kind of think Reddit is unfairly being grouped in with a lot of the software names that are just being destroyed. Um I think Reddit is still a good long-term buy. And, admittedly, the pattern does not look good. It's broken through the 50 simple, the 100 simple, the 200 simple, symmetry. I mean, the pattern just looks like utter destruction. A lot of this gives me 2022 vibes, start of the bear market. Um, I don't like that, but I still like the company. I still like the stock. Walmart earnings for the 19th. Uh, so you can never go long something like this going into earnings. It's way too extended. I would sell a call credit spread on it, but there's no um there's probably not enough premium to sell a call credit spread on it, to be honest. So we can look at it the day of earnings and see if there's anything to do with it. But in general, when something is so extended and has rallied so hard going into earnings, that's usually going to be the time when you can sell a call credit spread. AMAT, nice. I wish I would have gone long that one over the earnings report. I mean, fantastic 5-star trend, great earnings patterns. But at this point, it made targets at the 360 and almost at the 379 price point. So I can't say there's much I could do with that, especially because it didn't break the first candle in the opening range. All right. Well, I think that's about enough for me. I hope everybody has a great weekend, a really great long weekend. For those of you who are on the live stream, I'm going to post the link if you want to come join us in the trading room. Usually I'm there on Tuesday and Friday at the close, and Wednesday I have a session the hour before the close. But like I mentioned, the week after next, I am going to be in Las Vegas, so I will not be in the trading room then. But is anybody going to be going to Las Vegas? Somebody say Johnson and Johnson and KO are looking good. You're going to be there. It'll be great to see you again. Yeah, this is a crazy uptrend, but it's way too far gone for me. Same thing with this one. It's just they're so extended. There's just no edge on entry at this point. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next week.